Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Friday, February 7th, 2025, 2 days before the Super Bowl. Dad, how you feeling, man?
I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I'm a little excited. If we weren't in it, we'd be sitting there going, oh, who do you like this weekend? So
True.
Now I don't think you have to ask me who do I like this weekend. Everybody knows.
Yeah, it is true, because I told you, I was like, man, I'm just so stressed and nervous and yada, yada. And you were like, well, you're either stressed because your team's in it or you're bored because your team's not. I'm like, that's a great point. Like,
I might boycott like all those knuckleheads I've been reading about on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm boycotting the Super Bowl.
I know.
I can't stand it. I'm in there writing, you'll be watching it, you knucklehead.
Yeah. Fake fans. They're not real NFL fans.
Yeah, if you ain't watching the Super Bowl, you're not a fan of football. I don't care what you say.
I know. So obviously we're here to record our Super Bowl preview episode. Very excited for this game. Very nervous, as he stated as well. This whole episode will just be about the Super Bowl. Last week we kind of went over the season and talked about that and everything. This episode is going to be focused mostly on the Super Bowl and things around it. But man, we're pumped as always. We want to give a shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles fan club of Colorado Springs. We will be at Rhinos Sports and Spirits in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It's on Powers and Barnes. Thank you. Sorry.
Yep.
Powers and Barnes. We'll be there for the game. Hopefully you guys are there. It opens at 11, so we'll be there pretty early to get a spot for us. If we don't get a good spot, we're leaving. No, I'm just kidding.
No seat saving either.
But no, we're going to have a great time, and we hope to see a lot of you there. I'm sure we will throughout the season. We've had more and more all the time, so we think we'll have a good turnout. We're really excited. We hope to see you all there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You got to get there early. You don't want to be standing.
Definitely.
So, I don't know what time they open, 10, 11,
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, we'll get there. It's funny, though, we've been seeing some people asking, where are they going to be watching the big game? I'm like, if you're asking us now, this week.
You're a little late.
Yeah, you're a little bit late. But we've said Rhinos for the last, 3 months, guys? Yeah. So it's kind of funny. But you're more than welcome to show up. And children can be there. Just be ready to cover their ears when there's a bad play or a bad call, because I don't know how well I'm going to be able to contain my language portion. I do it well on the pod, but I don't know about in live action.
For sure, yeah.
It's going to be tough.
But let's get into it. So the Eagles obviously going to be playing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl on Sunday, 4:30 p.m. our time, kickoff time here, and 6:30 back east in New Orleans. Or is it 5:30 New Orleans?
It might be.
It might be, actually. But 6:30 back east, whatever. In New Orleans at the Superdome. Dad, I'm sorry that I usually pass over here now to say the weather report. It is a dome stadium.
Yes.
Do you have anything about the weather?
No, but the only good thing is, the turf is not going to be glass. We're not going to be slipping and sliding like we did 2 Super Bowls ago.
Jeez.
Which, hopefully someone made a little notation to hey, guys, let's not try a new field for the Super Bowl. Let's just leave the field that we have here for now. So,
100% agree with you there.
Just unbelievable that they did that 2 years ago. And, again, everybody played on the same field, but what a dumb move. They threw, some kind of golf turf in there or something?
Yeah, it's a whole new thing.
A couple weeks before the game. I mean, somebody should have been smacked in the head for that one. That just bothers me. Just unbelievable. So hopefully we're playing on a good playing field where everybody's footing is fine and we don't have to change shoes or anything.
Yeah.
And they keep there's no rain, there's no wind, there's no nothing. It's going to be perfectly 75 degrees.
Exactly. All right, let's get into the matchups of the game. So usually during the season, we only choose 2 or 3 matchups. Got a little bit more in depth since we're now in the Super Bowl, but let's start with the offense, of course. Let's start with the basic one. I try to make the matchups more fun during the season, but we're in crunch time now. So basic thing here. Eagles O-line versus the Chiefs defensive line. So the Chiefs have a good defensive line. It's not an all-timer. It's not greatest ever. Chris Jones is definitely probably one of, if not the best defensive tackle in the league.
Yes.
Karlaftis is really good. But that's kind of all she wrote on that defensive line. They're pretty good against the run as far as, and pretty good against the pass as far as pass rushing and sacks and everything like that. So they're a pretty good team, but what do you have to say with the offensive line, Dad, the defense against the defensive line? What do we got to do?
Well, the biggest thing we're going to have to do, obviously we have the great offensive line. We're going to run the ball hopefully all over the place, but they're going to have to just, like everyone's been saying this week, the tricky where did that guy come from type stuff. They're going to have their eyes open. They're going to have to keep their eyes open because the one thing that the Chiefs can do with Spags as their D coordinator is they blitz And sometimes they make it look like they're blitzing and they don't blitz. And other times they don't make it look like they're blitzing and they blitz. So they just have to be ready. They have to have the running backs and the quarterback. They have to be ready to be able to pull out of a play, and change it at the line. And hopefully they're ready for that. So, but there's also one thing I'd like to see them do. And we saw it in the NFC Championship game. I'd like to see them change the snap counts a little bit. Because remember when Lou Vu was just knew when we were snapping the ball. And they need to hopefully be deceptive with that this week, because I think that's going to play into it. Because if these guys know, when the snap's coming, and I know I'm not the only one thinking that, so hopefully this has been taken care of.
Yeah, Chiefs, as far as sacks go with their pass rush, only 39 sacks on the season. We had 41. So they're in the same ballpark as us. They get pressure about as much. Very similarly built as far as, defensive tackle. They have an all-star defensive tackle, and so do we with Jalen Carter. But, yeah, it's going to be a big deal. I mean, this is the bread and butter of every single football game ever, offensive line versus defensive line. We talk about it since Pop Warner when you're a kid and in high school. You win in the trenches. And we have the better offensive line. We have the better defensive line, I think. So, I mean, this is going to be really where we run and over on the offensive side. But the offensive line's going to have to dominate, dude, to get Saquon his yards and everything,
Yeah, for sure. And then hopefully – again, we know we have the line. We know the guys are feeling better now. They were hurting a few weeks ago, but with its rest and the relax or whatever they did, hopefully, they're all full go. There's been no issues there. So, just play our game. Just do what we've done all season, and hopefully we can get Barkley to break a couple 30 and 40 yarders.
Yeah. Obviously, they're going to need to keep Hurts clean as well. So, I talked about it with my dad before the game, before the pod, and with another couple of Eagles buddies over the phone and texting and everything about, I'm feeling pretty confident about this and da-da-da. I watched some highlights today of Eagles games of the season, and confidence took a little shake. It took a little beaten after seeing a lot of sacks happening that were not really on the offensive line. They were more so on the quarterback. I'm not trying to get on him yet. We'll talk about him. But it's definitely going to be incredibly important for the offensive line to keep Jalen clean and give him time.
It's a huge, huge thing this week is they're going to have to keep him clean. He's going to have to be able to make split decisions. He's going to have to recognize blitzes and non-blitzes.
Yes.
And hopefully we can, hit the middle of the field and do maybe some of the shorter stuff that we normally don't do. But again, it's all going to get back to that running game. If we come out of the boxes and we can run on them, it's going to really make things a lot more comfortable for Jalen.
Well, let's talk about our pass catchers now. So start with the wide receivers, AJ and Devontae. They're going to be lining up across most likely McDuffie and Watson the entire game. Two great corners. McDuffie, a two-time All-Pro in the last 3 seasons. And Jalen Watson, former undrafted player who's really taking himself as, not one of the best corners in the league, but a really good corner. Obviously a corner on 2 Super Bowl winning teams, and he's only in his 3rd year. Once he came back from injury this year, he only played in 6 games. And before, when he was out of the games and everything, they were having a pretty tough time. He came back from injury, and they've actually gotten a lot better. So he's actually done a pretty good job, and he's had a good season when he played and a good postseason, and he's a good player. So these 2 corners, they're going to be a handful. And I know on the other side they're saying the same thing about our wide receivers. They're going to be a handful. But tell me about AJ and Devontae and what we need to see.
Well, AJ looked great last week.
Oh, yeah. 2
weeks ago. I think he's over the hump as far as any ailments that he had. We haven't seen anything this week pop up, so that's kind of nice. Hopefully, they can drop a couple in on him like they did last week, 2 weeks ago, sorry. And, just continue it up. And hopefully, we can get Devontae open a little bit more. Then we maybe use him a little bit more in that slot, quick pass type thing. I think hopefully he'll be our the guy we go to if some things break down, if they got a quick sack where he can get open across the middle and hopefully we can hit him. But I mean, it's going to be the game plan. There's going to be a lot of chess play move here. There's going to be a lot of trick little things you're going to have to look for because I think, you're going against 2 really good D coordinators and 2 offenses that can move the ball.
Yeah.
I think we can maybe do a little more of the quick strike deep stuff where they're a little more of a dink and dunk type. situation, and hopefully we're able to move that. But I think with AJ, I hope we can get him down the sideline once or twice and get him open in the middle of the field a few times.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned AJ coming off a great game last week, and then Devontae, who's the best Eagles postseason wide receiver in Eagles history. It's going to be a huge game for both of them, especially because we don't know what we're going to get with Saquon, because they're going to do everything they can to stop Saquon from running. So the passing game should be really important in this game, as it is in every Super Bowl. Going to be a big deal. And these two guys, going against McDuffie and Watson, they got their hands full, but I trust our guys against any corners in the league.
I do too. And, one of the things I was also thinking about this week is, the Chiefs have been able to reload the last 3 or 4 or 5 years to when somebody leaves like Snead, do they get another guy that comes in, an undrafted guy? Hopefully this is the Super Bowl where that guy suddenly doesn't play up to the position that they've had him play at all year. And I remember we had that a few years ago where I believe it was Snead kind of came out of nowhere, and just these DB, they had a bunch of guys that were new and they played above their pay grade, if you will. Hopefully it's the opposite this year. Hopefully we see they don't get I don't want to say it lucky, but it just doesn't happen for them. Yeah. Somebody makes a mistake, somebody that's not been a high draft choice, or a kind of a player they've been able to pop in and fill. Hopefully he gets exposed this week.
Yep. Let's talk about the next big pass catcher. Going to be Dallas Goedert. So our tight end, number one tight end out there. Big thing to go knowing about KC. If you've been listening to podcasts, you've been listening to sports radio and talk shows, Kansas City's defense, they're the worst against tight ends. They let up the most yards against tight ends in the entire league.
Yes.
So you have to assume that they know that. So they're going to be, pushing real hard to guard Goddard. But if push comes to shove and AJ and Devontae are taken, I think this could be a really big game for Goddard.
Yes, and that's he's played amazing in this playoffs.
Definitely.
The 3 games we've played in, we've relied on him for at least a couple big plays each time.
The 4 games, the last game of the regular season, he was huge. But yes,
he had a big game in the Packer game. He had a big touchdown where he was just pushing that guy in the face the whole way. And then last week he had a big catch, or 2 weeks ago, he had a big catch down the left side, which was huge because it got us down to the 10-yard line. And it was just amazing to watch him play. And it's good to see him, as healthy as he's been the whole season. And we always, kind of draw back on him a little bit where, we miss him a couple times every season. So hopefully this is a little, he's ready and he's feeling good and continue. But yeah, we need to expose that part of the game, because if we can get him going, that'll also just open up the other pass game and also the run game.
Definitely. Yeah, a lot of the big thing you got to be reminding yourself with Goddard, it stinks because he always gets hurt. And pardon me, man, I'm having problems up here. He's been hurt a lot in his career, and it's always really frustrating, and it makes you kind of go, gosh, man, we really can't be dealing with this. But it makes you forget that when he is healthy, top 3 tight end in the league, top 5, top 3, whatever you want to say, he's one of the best of them in the league as tight end. He's so good. He's so dominating. He's so hard to bring down. He's so sure-handed. Just a great player, and I think I expect a big game, and I think we need a big game from him.
And he's just a big compliment to the other wide receivers.
Without a doubt.
It just seems
great in the run game too.
Every once in a while, he gets there and he's open, and they are able to hit him on that 10 or 15 yard middle of the field type down the sideline pass, and hopefully we can get him open again and continue his success he's had these last 3 games now, or 4 games.
Yes. Yep. All right, let's get into the next one. Another big matchup: Saquon and Jalen versus the run defense. So, as we talked about before, Kansas City's defense, 8th against the run, only allow 101.8 yards per game total. We're 10th at 104.2. They're 8th, so they're one of the top 10 run defenses in the league. So it's a hard team to run against. And the other big thing about them, they don't miss tackles. This is a team, definitely one of the best tackling teams in the league. They have that. I don't know what's the word? Not punishment. Accountability. I can't think of the word. Sorry, but they just have that trained in them that just they don't miss tackles.
That's the recipe for success. If you that first guy makes a hit and a hold and stops the player in his tracks, or at least gets him a grab of a shirt or something, and the other guys come in and clean it up. That's definitely a big thing for them, and that's going to be hopefully our success will be able for us to get through that first or second line and get into that DBs and whatever and start juking them and knocking those guys over.
Especially against guys like Saquon and Jalen, guys who are not easy to bring down. They're tough hits, they're tough wrap ups and everything like that with their huge legs. And they churn their legs and they keep on pushing their strength. If these guys are getting tackled every single time by the first guy, that's a huge thing for Kansas City.
And that's one of the big things too. The way Jalen looked running the last, in the playoffs this season. He had the knee injury, but he has looked good. He looked great in the Rams game where that nice 40-some yard touchdown run early in the game. Awesome. And I think he's going to need to be able to move around a little bit, and hopefully when they do that mystery blitz or whatever you want to call it, where somebody's coming off the corner, he can get past that guy and take it down the sideline and make them pay. That's really going to be the key to the game, is make them pay for everything they do, especially when they start getting cute with their little, those disguised blitzes you want to call it, where they bring in a defensive back and, kind of trip you up. Hopefully we can expose that. And if we can, that's going to be a recipe for our success.
Definitely. All right, next one for you. Jalen again. Jalen and Kellen Moore versus Steve Spagnuolo. Play calling has been a bit of a, I don't want to say disappointment, but underwhelming as far as Kellen Moore getting here. We really thought we'd have a lot more.
Offensive.
We had a lot more offensive success. Yeah, we thought we'd have a lot more offensive success. Now I know Saquon completely skews that with rushing for 2,000 yards,
exactly,
which is awesome. That's fine, but there still has been a lot of times throughout the season where we've been like, "What is this guy calling right now?" And Steve Spagnuolo, I mean, you're not going to go up against a better defensive coordinator, really. I mean, this is going to be a big one. Tell me what you think about that.
Well, it's going to be a field position game, obviously, right? So, as you were talking about watching some highlights from the other games this season, where we'd be at the 22-yard line, 3rd and 6, and then you get a sack, and now you're trying to kick a 48-yard field goal or something like that.
Yeah.
And, obviously the conditions are going to be good for a kicker, but we don't want 3 points. We want 7, so we want to keep these drives going. And if it's a 3rd and 6, and that's going to be a blitzing down, right? Find the open areas and expose them. And if Jalen's got to take it, a quarterback draw right up the gut, then he's got to do it. We need him to use his legs in this game. Really use anything we can in this game. This is it, right? This is
it.
There's nothing left. So
biggest game of the year.
Biggest game of the year.
Yeah. Say, and Waterboy.
Be careful down there, Swanee.
The biggest game of the year. You can't leave anything. I can't remember.
Can't leave it all on the field.
Leave it all on the field. Exactly. We know. No, you're right. Yeah, biggest game of the season.
Don't say it, but yeah. So I mean, that's really going to be the key. I think you're going to, especially in the 3rd and semi-long downs. We want to keep it to a 4th and 1, right? We want to be able to keep that ball moving.
3rd and 3, 3rd and 4.
That's right. And if you're in a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, let's make sure we have the right protection.
Yeah.
And we can do the same thing they're doing. If they're going to disguise a blitz, we can fake a run. We can fake a quick pass or something like that. And it's just going to be the play calling that's going to be needed. And again, you're playing against one of the best in Spags, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah. The biggest thing you kind of mentioned, the 3rd and mediums, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. The thing that I like about the Eagles is, with their ability to run, they still run it on 3rd and 4s. They will run the ball, and that's something you kind of like to see. Is that they believe in themselves so much in the run. The offensive line is so confident in Saquon as well that on 3rd and 4. It's not an automatic passing down.
No, it's not.
That's
give them a look at the passing game.
That's the best thing about our offense is it has that ability to be diverse, be various, and kind of keep a defense on its toes.
Yeah, but don't be cute. I just say
I agree.
Teams try to be cute. Do what you can do. If it means that we're going to do a little pitch pass to Devontae coming across in the backfield, make sure you got the right protection in. Make sure you got the right blockers in there. Make sure the guys know which way we're going to go. And I'd really like to see him work on the snap counts this week because it's just so predictable. Every time he taps them, it's going to be this. Let's tap and let's count for 2 seconds, or let's tap and snap it right away, or something. Especially when we get the push, if we're going to do the tush push or whatever. Hopefully, we don't just get into that rhythm because you could see against the Commanders that they knew when we were snapping the ball. Yeah. And you can't have that. I mean, that's a huge piece right there.
Yeah.
So hopefully they figure it out. They know they're going to have to play some mind games with Spagnuolo and just expose this defense that's kind of had its struggles with the season this year against some really bad teams. Yeah. There were games that they should have lost that they didn't. So that's what I want to see.
The Panthers game, I mean, that was crazy. Yeah, total defense for the Chiefs. My last thing before I go to my last thing, their full team stats: total defense 8th, total yards only 335 a game, passing yards they're 18th. So this is a team that you can pass against. Rushing yards they're 8th, like I mentioned. Well, we're second on rushing offense, so something's got to give. They're 4th in points allowed, only 19.2. So they. Not as
right there with us, yeah.
We're with us. Yeah. And third down percentage, they are really bad.
But it's funny because they are going to try to stop the run game at all costs.
Absolutely.
We hopefully can stop their run game to get them in long thirds, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 11.
We're not on defense yet, so hold on.
Okay, but I'm just saying that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do.
Their third down defense is pretty bad. They're 26th at 43.3, so pretty bad on the third down defense. So. Got high expectations for this offense in this game.
This offense got to do it. And if the running game is going to be a big piece of it, and if it's not, we're going to have some troubles early, I think.
And then the last one I have on the matchups for the offense, so really, it's not even really a matchup as much as just something we got to see. I put the role players on the offense. And by that I mean by the Calcaterra, Jahan Dotson, Johnny Wilson, and then whether C.J. Uzoma or E.J. Jenkins, whichever one we're bringing up. We got to get something. Someone's got to do something. I'm not saying every one of them has to have a catch for 20 yards, but someone has to do something, and I believe that if we're going to win this game, someone who's not named, Hurts, AJ, Devontae, someone not named one of those guys, got to do something. I 100% believe that.
I agree with you on that too, and I think that's going to be something that hopefully they've already figured out and they got written down and ready to use because obviously in this type of game, Super Bowl games. This is, like you say, the last game of the season. Yeah. So if you got that play that's sitting in your back pocket all year and it's going to be successful, and that means it's a pass to Dotson or pass to Johnny or Neas, whatever it is, use it when you can.
Whether it's Dotson in the Packers game with the touchdown or Isaiah Rodgers with the fumble recovery against the Rams or everybody or Shipley in the NFC Championship game, the forced fumble. Someone has to do something. Someone who's not a major guy, one of our role players has to do something. All right, enough about the offense. Let's get into the defense. The number one defense in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's talk about their matchups. So, number one's the most obvious. I really should have just saved it for last. We're playing against Patrick Mahomes.
That's right.
Eagles, we boast the number one passing defense of the season. That's incredible, something we're very happy about. We only allow 174.2 passing yards a game, which is unbelievable when you really think about that. But last time we played Mahomes in the Super Bowl, he only threw for 182 yards. So they beat us before without passing on us. So this passing defense has to be even better. We got to get sacks on Mahomes. We got to hit him. You have to get him off his rocker, and we got to make him uncomfortable, which I know seems almost impossible to do for this guy, but you got to do it. You got to find a way.
He is Superman. We know that. Everyone knows that, and that's the way we're going to be playing the defense. Hopefully, we're probably going to be playing some, early on at least. Not going to be playing man. They're going to be playing zone. So hopefully we can just play that tight coverage that I continually talk about, and obviously, just if not sacking him, at least making him uncomfortable.
Yes.
We can pressure up the middle like we've been getting all season, and hopefully one of the defense ends has a game. If it's not going to be Hunt or Sweat, one of those guys. Nolan Smith, obviously, he's the guy that's been doing it, but we need somebody else to step into it as well.
Yeah, field's not an excuse here, man. The field's not an excuse. It wasn't last time. You still lost. You got to win.
Right.
And it ain't. It's definitely not one this time. We have to get to him. We have to.
Got to move.
And you have to. You have to close off the next guy, which I'll throw his name out now, is Travis Kelce. Now, Travis Kelce is obviously no longer the guy he used to be. The nice thing is the Eagles are on the opposite side of what the Chiefs are. We're the best team against tight ends as far as yards this season.
Right.
We've let up the least amount of yards for tight ends in the entire NFL, which is great. But Travis Kelce, even though he's maybe not as good as he was, he's still Travis Kelce.
Yes, he is.
2 weeks ago, he had over 100 yards against the Houston Texans, who also had a great defense. Yeah. So
that was with 11 catches. So we're talking less than a little bit over 9 yards a catch. So it was always that middle of the field, the dump off thing. I would love to see either we put Coop on him and just let him play man and let everybody else play zone. But you got to cover him, and you can't because if you can get Mahomes rolling to his left or right, that's who he's looking for.
Yeah.
And if you can get somebody to kind of be ghosting him and then stepping one of them passes and just take it the other way, that's what we're going to need to do. But I'm also looking for some tip passes this week, and
Have to.
if the gods are shining down on us, we're going to pick off one of those tip passes. It's going to drop into somebody's hands, and we're going to be able to use it and go with it, because we've been so unlucky as far as that goes with the tip pass. Now, we've been doing great with the fumbles and interceptions as well, but those tip balls that we just don't fall in anybody's hands, we kind of need one or two of those this week.
It feels like Carter or Milton Williams gets a tip pass per game, and then it doesn't turn into a pick, and you're like,
close. But
so you got to pray that this is the game where that turns into an interception.
Goes a little harder, that ball pops up a little bit higher, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, don't let Kelsey beat you. If that means Worthy or Brown or whoever else gets open for a 15-yard pass, that's fine. But, these guys do not throw the ball down the field. They don't have many receptions over 20 yards this entire season. Most teams have been able to keep them, but they don't need that, because they're a dink and dunk team. And then you think you got the passing covered, and then all of a sudden Mahomes runs for 8 yards and gets a first down. So that's the one thing we got to, hopefully Carter gets his paws on his shirt and holds him up while somebody else can come flying in and knock that ball out of his hands or something.
Something like that, for sure. All right, let's get into Vic Fangio versus Andy Reid. Now, I know it's the big thing around town. Everyone's pointing it out everywhere that Mahomes is 8-0 versus Fangio in his career. Now, I don't know about the points per game of that. I didn't look into too much research, but I do know I heard it on another Eagles thing. They mentioned all the starting quarterbacks that played for the Fangio team in that time period, and 4 of them were Drew Lock. 2 of them were Tua, which is, a good player, so there's not much excuse for that one. But 4 of them are Drew Lock, and you're like, oh, okay, well, now it doesn't mean as much. So I don't know.
To be 8-0 again, you got to have the teams that he was coaching at the time were not top teams. They were lower
definitely not.
Teams.
Yeah. So this is going to be a big one, though. Andy Reid, of course, last Super Bowl played against us. They had a really tough first half against us, and then against Jonathan Gannon in the second half, he killed him. I mean, Jonathan Gannon had no answers for Andy Reid in the second half against that Super Bowl. I think they scored a touchdown or a field goal on every single drive in the second half. I'm fairly certain. Obviously, that punt return didn't help, but I think this is just Fangio is so much different than Jonathan Gannon, so I don't expect as much of a problem there. But you can't be outsmarted by this guy, Andy Reid. You just can't.
Well, I think we're also a lot younger than we were at the time, and we have more speed. And
for sure,
from what we've seen so far this year, we have just a better players. Yes. Some of our DBs that were playing in that game last time were maybe close to maybe top first. I don't know. Second tier type players.
Marcus Epps, James Bradbury.
Bradbury was still having a good season back at that time. I think it was a drop off coming. And it was coming. And, like you say, some of the other guys, Slay was still there. Slay has had a good rebound season this year. I think he's played a lot better. We got CJ. He was in that game as well, but I think he's a better player now. So, hopefully, the ball bounces our way. That's all I'm going to say. Just hopefully it comes our way.
It's funny because there's 2 ways to look at, going into this game. We're going in with it with 2 incredibly young defensive backs, of course, in Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean,
rookies,
getting their first Super Bowl starts as rookies after having incredible seasons altogether. Which is just still unbelievable to think about. We got 2 cornerbacks in the draft, first and second round, who have just been amazing. But there's 2 ways to look at this. And on one side, it's the negative way of like, 2 rookies, they're in the biggest game and experience. They're going to be nervous. And then there's the other side to look at it in the positive. They're playing with house money in a way. Like, in a way they're going into this going, dude, we're freaking rookies and we're in the Super Bowl. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to learn from this. They're going to do everything as best as they can. I think it's going to lock them in even more. Yeah, you know what I mean?
And they've both played phenomenally ever since the break, week 5, whatever.
Week 5,
so, you're looking at, I don't know how many games that puts them under the belt, but they've got enough time and enough knowledge, I think, and they're going to be coached up really well with Fangio. So, but yeah, it's just going to be. We're just going to need some things to go our way, hopefully, and these guys play the way they've played. Hopefully,
just play your game.
Cooper can come up and make some of them great tackles he's made when it's keep it to a third, and when it's 3rd and 6, make that 4-yard play and make that solid tackle himself that he does, and maybe we can get the ball out of a few hands. I know they're not teams that they don't really drop the ball on the ground that much, but hopefully we can make that happen.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Chiefs pass catchers not named Travis Kelce. The wide receiver group It's a solid group. It's not a, filled with all pros or filled with, what am I trying to say? Prime of their careers, stuff like that. Got a young dude in Xavier Worthy, one of course, the fastest guy at the combine in history. Hollywood Brown, another really good deep threat and fast guy. Juju Smith-Schuster, who's kind of a thorn in my side that I really, really hate. And then DeAndre Hopkins, who's kind of been, he only had one catch in the postseason so far. Definitely his age is showing a little bit. He's still a great receiver. I'm not going to say anything bad about him. But
right.
So, it's a solid group. It's not an unbelievable group. However, that's kind of how it was last time we played them.
That's right.
So you do have to be ready. That this is a team that they don't need a ton of skill when they have a guy named Patrick Mahomes
puts the ball
at the quarterback position.
Yeah, he's got it. He's very accurate and he's can throw it off the back foot and sideways and arm underneath and all that other stuff. So hopefully these guys will maybe not be catching the balls when they were close and we can knock a few down.
Dude, the Dark Knight movie has the most accurate line ever, which I know you're not a big fan of that movie, but he says you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And, it's like, oh, it's a good line. And it rings so true that there was a time in my life we cheered for Patrick Mahomes. Back in 2019, we had won a Super Bowl 2 years before. We liked Travis Kelce because it was Jason's brother.
That's right.
We liked Mahomes because he was good. It was cool to watch.
Yeah.
We loved Andy Reid because of his past with us. We were cheering for them to win their first Super Bowl. And now I can't even express the hatred I have towards Patrick Mahomes. And it's such a bummer. It's crazy how quick everything can turn. And it's also funny just to think last year, I hated the Niners so much that I cheered for Mahomes over them. And I'm just like looking back at that. I'm like, what was I doing?
I did the same thing. We all wanted Andy to get his first Super Bowl. And then the next year when they played, was it the next year or the year after that they played Tampa Bay?
Yeah, 2020.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they lost to Brady, and we were like, dang it, guys.
On them a little bit.
True, it is true. I do remember that. Yeah, I was
not very happy about that.
No, so it's a bummer that if my buddy Lane is watching, who's a huge Chiefs fan, it's just a bummer that there was a time when I really did cheer for these guys and was happy for them, and you had I don't want to throw you under the bus. You bought a Chiefs jersey that had Ron Jaworski, former Eagle, played for the Chiefs afterwards, and you bought a jersey of his when they were going to the Super Bowl because you're like, that'd be cool to have, And now it's like we burned that thing. And we already burned it.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, so it's crazy how fast things change in the NFL. It's just such a bummer.
So the lesson learned is don't ever cheer ever for another team.
It's so true.
Super Bowl, just be.
I don't care. Just say I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah.
It's so true.
Whoever wins wins.
Don't even get bothered by it. I don't even know, but. Okay, let's talk about the last matchup for the defense is the Chiefs' run game. The Chiefs' run game hasn't been very good this year. They're 22nd in the league, only 105 yards per game. But I do want to point out, last time we played these guys, ran all over us. I mean, they ran all over us. Now, me and my dad talked about it last week. We never watched the highlights for that Super Bowl because we lost. Why would you? Can't watch that. Yeah. And in preparation for this one coming up, I was like, you know what? Let me suck it up and check it out as I was doing some research for things. And I'm watching it. It's kind of funny because right away, 2 minutes into it, I'm like, God, I don't remember this at all. It just shows you how I wanted to repress this so much.
That's right.
But no, watching the highlights, I'm just like, oh my God, we got gashed. And you watched it too. We got destroyed on the ground.
I can't believe how bad our defensive line was against the rush in that game.
Yeah.
But Checo, right?
And yes.
He was running all over the place.
And that was when we still had Cox. We still had Hargrave. Hargrave wasn't a great run defenseman, but that's still not beside the point. Of the linebackers, we had T.J. Edwards and Kaiser White. Couldn't stop the run at all. I felt like at least 4 or 5 times I was like, why is C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting a tackle?
They were like 13-yard
Yes. I'm like, oh my gosh. It was really annoying to watch.
Yeah.
It just bothered me that I had to relive it. But, so we got to be able to stop the run here, and that includes Patrick Mahomes. Now, we've been 10th against the run this season, so we're a top 10 run defense, which is phenomenal. But that doesn't take away what happened last time we played them. Yeah. And Mahomes now is kind of a better runner than he was then.
Yeah, he's just slippery. He just knows how to get past the line. He knows how to – he just gets out of the grasp all the time, and that's where, our defensive guys got to come in and just grab a hold of that shirt and let somebody else come clean it up.
Yeah, it was just – It was so annoying to watch us get ran all over again. But no, yeah, this is, you got to make him win it through the air. Unfortunately, they have Patrick Mahomes, so that's where you get a little bit annoyed because even if they can't run it, they have possibly the greatest passer of all time, at least greatest passer in the league now.
Yeah.
So this is just one of those games, man, where our number one defense has to be a number one defense.
Got to play like it, yeah.
It can't be number one defense all season and now. And, in watching the highlights, me and my dad watched some highlights today. I was off from work today. It was my day off. And I threw on some season highlights. And there was a lot of times this year that I was like, man, our defense saved our butt. And we talked about it a lot during it. And I was just like, man, we can't count on this. We need our offense to do something early.
Yes.
And, how many games in the first quarter could we not score and all that sort of stuff? So, I mean, you want to be able to say we got to rely on our defense, and our defense is great, but you can't rely on your defense when you're playing against Patrick Mahomes.
I agree. You have to be super aggressive. You got to make the right call. You got to be in the right position. You got to play what your part is, and you got to communicate. That's what's really got to happen. They've done it so far this year, and hopefully they can continue it this week.
Yeah. All right, Dad, let's take a quick break right here. We'll be back in just a moment to talk storylines, some other things from our star players, and top 10 Eagles plays in Super Bowls and some other fun stuff along the way. We'll be back in just 1 second. All righty, welcome back. We are back from our little break. Just had to plug in some computers and get a charge going on one of our things. Just technical issues, you guys understand. Let's, Dad, dive into some storylines for the Super Bowl. We don't usually do this. I decided let's go ahead and try it out. I just wrote a few things that came off the top of my head. Just our main storylines kind of going into the game. So, number one, the obvious one, this is the rematch in the Super Bowl from 2 years ago. Not to mention, it's kind of funny, people kind of forget that we did play last year in Arrowhead, and we did walk away with a win against the Chiefs. So playing them for the third time in the last 3 years, and last time we played them, we won, and last time we faced them in the Super Bowl, we lost. So what's your thoughts on the rematch?
I think it's going to be kind of like the last game. Hopefully, again, we can come out on top. But, it was a tough game, the Super Bowl. There was a lot of offense for us early on. We kind of got figured out there in the second half, which was a bummer, but it's just the way it goes. But we didn't have the running game that we had in that game. You and I were very surprised how poorly we ran the ball.
Couldn't run the ball at all.
In the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, sorry.
I don't remember what happened last year in our game, but I know it was we had a different running back then, but that was DeAndre Swift.
Well, last year we went into the half, remember, down 17-7, and then we came out and won the game.
We shut them out in the second half pretty much.
I don't remember if they did score again in the second half. I don't remember if you know that.
Right.
But it was a good game, I do recall.
We could not run the ball in the Super Bowl game at all. And that was pathetic, really. I mean, because Miles Sanders was doing so well, but early on, I know we talked about it after the bowl, he fumbled on the first carry, and they just kind of buried him the rest of the game. They really didn't let him run the ball. So
only 7 carries. That was insane.
And Gainwell played an awful lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just terrible that it went that way. He might have been injured. I don't know. Nobody told us, but it just was bad, really bad. So we do have that going for us this time. And I know the game last year was a nail-biter, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so 17-7 going into the half. We won 21-17. So shut them out completely in the second half.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Let's keep that going. Next storyline, Andy Reid. Obviously, Andy Reid, the winningest coach in Eagles franchise history and the winningest coach in Chiefs history. This is just a tough one. We talked about it, and when you go over greatest coaches in Eagles history and you rank them, Andy Reid's number one.
Yeah.
There's no disputing that, really. Doug Peterson, you got to throw up there because of the Super Bowl. And now Nick, of course, Sirianni getting us to playoffs 4 years in a row and 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. I mean, he's also up there. Maybe if he wins this year, he'll kind of jump Andy, I guess. But it's just tough, and it's frustrating and it's hard. But you can't help but be happy for him.
Well, he took us to 5 NFC Championship games.
Yeah,
we just couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah, except for once, and then we lost.
It was unfortunate, and it's just so funny because when we had him as a coach, we had all those. The big thing was his game time, his
clock management. Couldn't manage clock.
And then what? He leaves us, and he was only down. Was he even gone? Or did he go right from us to?
Went right away.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it took him to getting Pat Mahomes, basically.
Correct. Yeah. In his first year with the Chiefs, they did go to the playoffs. They had like an 8-game winning streak at one point or something like that. So he turned them around pretty quick. But no, they never reached crazy heights until, of course, Mahomes came in. With Alex Smith, they were able to do a few things here and there.
Yeah, he was a good quarterback.
He was a solid quarterback, but yeah. But for Andy Reid, it's tough because it's like on one hand, you want to be happy for him because he was our coach for so long, and he we're one of the most successful franchises in my lifetime because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons is because of him.
And it's the worst thing because, a lot of people, you guys had him and now he's the greatest coach yet. Well, you know what? Us longtime fans know that he had to go.
That's
he
true.
Had to go when he had 100%. To go. We knew he had it, but he had to go. I mean,
Shady talked about it on the facility. When they had to let Andy Reid go in 2012, we went 4-12. It was a terrible season. And Shady, McCoy, he went to Lurie and talked about why we got to get rid of him. And Lurie was like, it's not just because it's better for us; it's better for him.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things where it's like, we don't want to lose him, but it's. We need to move on, and he needs to move on. Yeah. He needs to be better, and unfortunately, he turned into the greatest.
Well, he's definitely up there. So, what was his record with the Eagles? Do you know?
Oh gosh,
I probably should. Because I know Sirianni's 48-20 with the Eagles in 4 seasons, right?
That's insane.
So that's 12-5 as a record for 4 straight seasons. That's pretty amazing.
That is really good. I have his coaching records here. Let's see. In his Eagles time, 130 and 93 and 1 draw. Of course, that 1 draw was the year that Donovan McNabb didn't know a game could end in a tie.
That was an awful game. I was standing in line at a Sprint store getting my daughter a new phone and trying to watch the game. I couldn't even watch the game back then. I think I just had to check the score every 2 minutes with my little thingy. Yeah.
Ticker, something like that.
Awful. Yeah, that was a terrible game.
Which is funny because that 2008 year, that draw year, that's the year we went to the NFC Championship game, lost to the Cardinals.
That's right. I was there at that game.
But yeah, in his last 2 seasons with us, 8-8 and 4-12. I'll tell you what, man, it's funny how quick a team can be turned around, though. You fire your coach in 2012, and you're thinking, this is going to be tough. But the 2012 draft, when he got us that 4-12 season, we got Fletcher Cox, Michael Kendricks, Vinny Curry. That was the 2012 draft. 2013 in our first draft without him. We draft Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz. Two guys who would go to be pivotal and important parts of our Super Bowl winning team.
Definitely.
And then the next draft was terrible, but that was because it was Chip Kelly. So. But no,
when we got Chip, I thought, man, in 3 years we're going to have a Super Bowl, and 3 years I think he was gone.
It was 3 years later, or it was 2 years later he's gone. Jeez. Well, with us for 2 seasons and 15 games, 14 games, something like that. But yeah, so Andy Reid's just the tough one to talk about because it's like he probably is the greatest coach of all time. And
it's so funny, the all-time thing, but I don't know. I mean, he's definitely getting in that conversation. A couple more. Hopefully we can stop him this year, but my goodness.
All right, next storyline for us, the big one really, Saquon Barkley having the chance to break the most rushing yards in a full NFL season, including the playoffs. Yes. 16 games in the regular season. We'll be playing 4 games in the postseason. This would just be so huge for Eagles fans, really. And I know he only has to get
29. He needs 30.
He needs 29 to tie, 30 to break it.
Yes.
So you really... You assume he's going to get that. But, man, it would just be such a cool thing to walk away with this season, not just with winning a Super Bowl, but also having a running back and being able to say that he had the greatest running back season in NFL history.
And he didn't win MVP.
Man,
that's my problem.
I mean, congrats to Allen. Whoever would have won, we knew it was going to be a quarterback. But
it's ridiculous.
It is, and I know we've talked about it on here. I know that you have to just do the regular season, but it's just
broke. Is it the MVQ? It's just what it's called now, the MVQ.
I guess,
because it's not the MVP.
Yeah,
because that's a no-brainer.
It's just broken. It's a broken way because it's just. And it's clear as day now that Saquon Barkley is the greatest player.
And let's vote in September, okay? Let's vote in September for the most valuable player.
Right.
And it's so funny because if you go side by side with statistics, there's another person that should have won it hands down.
Oh, for sure.
It's just ridiculous.
And if you go wins, then it should have been Mahomes. I mean, it's difficult to do, but yeah. Okay, get out of the storylines. I'm done there. Hopefully, Saquon thing we're really excited for that one. But the next one we always write down. We write players to watch. in the Super Bowl, it's kind of this is kind of a dumb game because it's all of them.
It is all
during the regular season. We always try to point out a player like, oh, it's a player to watch. He's my player to watch. I think he'll have a great game. In the Super Bowl, it's just kind of we're going to make bold predictions in a little bit, but I don't have a player to watch.
But it's funny because if you've ever watched the Super Bowl and if you've been around a long time like I have, a lot of times the Super Bowl MVP is some guy you didn't really know was on the team, like it wasn't a big name. So hopefully that is the case this year, or it's definitely going to be Barkley or Hurts. But, it's funny how that we've had some of those Super Bowl MVPs that were just guys that made plays out of, like, they weren't really the name that you thought was going to be there, like Cooper Kupp or Larry Brown. Like some of these guys that have won MVP through the years.
Edelman won one year.
Yes.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, Dad, I'm going to do we're just going to kind of make this a quick segment.
Okay.
Just going to ask, it's what do we need from our stars? So I'm just going to take, I think I have 8 guys, 9 guys, something listed out here.
I got a few listed too.
I just want, we kind of already touched on all of them already and what we need from them. I just want like a couple words, summarize what do we need from this player, okay? Ready? I'm going to list them off. Jalen Hurts, go.
No turnovers, 40 yards rushing, 200-plus passing, but not really very high. A couple touchdown passes.
Okay. Saquon Barkley.
I got him down right here. 120 to 150. We need Barkley to run for that, in my opinion, to win this game. He's got to break 120 yards in this game.
A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown's got to have about 6 catches. He's got to be close to 100 yards receiving, in my opinion. If he goes over 100, I think it'll be a good day for us.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith's going to have to help with the third down and short type stuff. He's going to have to get some intermediate passes, maybe get a deep one like he did against the Cowboys and almost broke it for touchdown, had, 2 in that game. So, it would be nice to see because I don't think he's going to be the guy that they're watching to go deep, and he can definitely go deep and he can catch the ball.
Offensive line.
Keep the penalties to a minimum. Don't lose your hat. Don't get mad. Knock some people down. Push Chris Jones about 8 yards deep on every running play. Knock Karlaftis around and just be able to run up the gut and run outside. And hopefully we'll be able to fake him out and have maybe Hurts do a couple of those hold-ons and just take a draw or something and thing like that. I really like the pitch they did a couple weeks ago because we don't pitch the ball that often.
Barely. For the offensive line, we touch on that as well. The penalty is the biggest one. No holding penalties to bring back big plays. Right. No illegal motions, illegal false starts, illegal shit. That's for the whole offense, really. But
illegal down the field. That's killed us more than any team in the league this year.
Stab my eyes out.
So hopefully we can keep Becton in his 2 or 3 yard thing, and he just knocks some people down.
Yeah. Zach Bond,
I got down here 10 tackles, maybe 1 forced fumble, and one of them tipped interceptions I was talking about.
Yeah.
They're going to be crucial.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
We need him to do a couple monster hits where he stands up and he almost gets that taunting penalty because, boy, he comes in and flies in and knocks some people down. I think he's going to be a big support in the run game. And, again, I think if we can keep their running game to nil, almost like we did against Baltimore when we played them a couple months ago. We just kept, King James could get a lot of yards. King Henry, sorry.
Got LeBron James up in here.
King Henry, don't let them get them big runs. Just add 3-4 yards and smother it. And that's going to be big early in the game. Don't let them run the ball early at all.
All right, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, the rookies.
Just play your game, maybe get a tip, a couple knockdown passes here and there. Somebody keep your eye on Travis Kelce, please. Don't let him get open in the middle of the field when you got a lot of pressure in Mahomes' face because that's what he does. And that gets him a first down, but it also kind of crushes your spirit. So we just need to have Cooper in there or obviously Quinyon's not going to be covering him, but, Cooper just to knock him down, knock some ball in.
And then probably my player to watch. I know we said we wouldn't do this, but I think the most important player in this game, Jalen Carter.
Well, of course, yeah. He had a little sickness early in the week, but yeah. It depends. We've heard about their offensive line. Hopefully Milton Williams is ready to go too because if they double Carter, we need Williams to bust up the middle. And if they don't, we'll get that one guy, Mike, whatever his name is, that they got to he's kind of their weak point there on the left guard, I think it is.
The right guard, yeah.
Right guard. We need him to not play well.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Jalen Carter
he's
it's hard to say the most important player of the game in a Super Bowl because everyone is, but I just feel like Jalen Carter, dude, we need him in Mahomes' face. We need to put Mahomes on the ground. We need Mahomes. You have to be reckoning Mahomes' day. He has to do it. And we need him more than anyone.
You mentioned every player except one I have on my list. One of my players on my list is Sidney Brown.
Wow.
The guy is a fantastic special teamer. He's played his heart out. We need him to play within his mind, to play smart, and knock some punt returns and kick returns and knock that ball out. Because we've had some of those this season where you don't normally get kickoff return and punt return fumbles, but we've had our share, and we need one this week.
Obviously, special teams gets forgotten a lot going into big games because you're always thinking offense, defense, and I did forget special teams. So let's talk about that for just a second. The scariest part of this game is going into this game with Jake Elliott having the season he's had.
Yeah,
it's been a really tough one to watch. It's been awful at times, and it's kind of heart-wrenching because you just love this guy. He's been so important to our team since the Super Bowl. We won back in 18 and 17, and it's just
7 years now.
Yeah.
Well, I have an interesting tidbit on him. The Eagles were 4-0 when Elliott misses an extra point in the playoffs. So that's a pretty good tidbit.
That's interesting.
Well, you think about it, right? I mean, he missed one last week.
He missed one
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he missed one in the Super Bowl in 17.
18,
yeah.
And I'm sure he probably missed something in the other two playoff games somewhere. So
he missed one of the Falcons game that year.
I stole this from somebody, but 4-0 when Elliott misses an extra point.
How funny is that? So maybe just chip the first one to the side. No, just kidding. No.
About the 7th or 8th touchdown, he can shank one.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. In the second quarter.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about this. I got a list here, Dad. It's my top 10 Eagles plays in Super Bowl history. Okay? I've got 3 honorable mentions, and then I got my top 10. I'll go in that order, honorable mentions first. You tell me kind of how you feel about the play, what it means and everything like that. Now, for this list, for you guys listening or watching, I tried to take emotion out of it. I tried to take away the side. What am I trying to say? The heaviness of the play, the importance of the play. Like I'm just trying to go off of play. Like
and you're going to go 10-1, right?
Yes. Let me start with 3 honorable mentions. Okay. Number 3, Jalen Hurts, the 28-yard 4th and 5 conversion. 2 years ago, 4th and 5, Jalen Hurts takes a scramble on to take a 28-yard to get a first down. Really good play and kind of electrified the team and just a nice little drive there.
Okay, that's good.
Devontae Smith, 45-yard catch 2 years ago. Went out of bounds at the 1 yard, so of course he got a tush push on the next one. Somehow he broke free and wide open for a catch.
Beautiful.
Greg Lewis, touchdown back in 2004. Pretty simple play. That's why it's in the honorable mentions. He was pretty open, and it was a pretty step and throw. Not too impressive of a play, but still it was a nice play to get our first ever wide receiver touchdown in Super Bowl history.
I remember that.
And until 18, when Alshon caught a touchdown, Greg Lewis was the only Eagles wide receiver in Eagles history to catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
All right, number 10, Jake Elliott's 46-yard field goal in the Super Bowl in 2018 to ice the game, make it go up by 8, made it a touchdown and 2-point conversion game.
You know what I'm going to say?
Go ahead.
Biggest kick of his young career right there.
Biggest kick of his career right there. Shout out to Mike Quick. Great call by him and Merrill Reese that entire game.
Right there, yeah.
I can't wait to watch them. I can't wait to watch the clips come out after we win on Sunday.
I agree.
Brian Westbrook, 10-yard touchdown catch. In the Super Bowl back in 2005. Nice little back. McNabb was falling back, kind of getting pressure, threw it off his back foot, and Westbrook caught it in between, I believe, in between 2 guys and kind of broke a little tackle and got in the end zone. Nice little play.
Westbrook was great.
He was. The Brandon Graham strict sack. Now, this is the biggest one I have to mention, saying taking the emotion out of it. Because obviously, to me, if I was going off of importance to Eagles history, this is to me is the most important play in Eagles history, the Brandon Graham sack. But there's nothing really exceptional about it. It's just a good play. So that's why it's at number 7.
Yeah,
or sorry, 8.
But that is the one picture that you need to have in your Eagles bar.
100% agree.
Wherever you're at, because that was
it's the most important play in Eagles history. Yeah. The Zach Ertz 4th down.
I don't know, man. That was such a exhilarating play.
I
mean, like I said, so clutch in those days. Man, that was great.
The number 6, the Corey Clement 55-yard game.
I just saw that the other day, man.
The wheel route from Nick Foles.
Yeah. It's funny because I really wanted him to score on that play, but if he didn't he did screw on that play, we wouldn't have the other play.
Yes. Number 5, the A.J. Brown touchdown from 2 years ago. Kind of an underthrow. I heard it's not even an underthrow. It was thrown in a weird spot. It was a spot only AJ could get to, and AJ kind of had to position himself weirdly and had to kind of extend his arms. Great catch, great touchdown. I believe it was our second touchdown of that game.
Okay.
Zach Ertz touchdown to extend to get the lead in the Super Bowl back in 17, 18, whatever you want to call it. Great play, great routes. It was a catch.
It's so funny to me that even now, here it is, 7 years later, that they were actually saying on the did he make a football move? He took 3 steps.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it was just Chris Collinsworth. Thanks.
Yeah. Number 3, the Alshon Jeffrey touchdown. We did mention great catch in the back of the end zone.
Yes.
Contested catch, 50-50 ball.
Got it started.
That was one of the better things that Collinsworth did say. This team is full of basketball players, that boxing out ability, and that was great. Number 2, possibly one of the greatest throws in NFL history, Nick Foles pass to Corey Clement. The touchdown in the back of the end zone, possibly the greatest pass ever. It's in contention for one of them, and it doesn't get mentioned enough.
Double covered, triple
cover. 3 guys on him.
It was right unbelievable. Where it had to be. He got 2 feet down.
Unbelievable.
The ball moved, but he didn't lose possession.
That's what the referee said.
I know.
If you ever watch the mic'd up version,
yes.
He talks about the ball moves, but he does not lose control.
That's right. That's right.
And number 1, you all knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Philly special.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's nothing else you could pick for here. Unbelievable play call, unbelievable moment. Incredibly weird to me that they didn't notice they were going to do that. Because I told you, and I was watching my dorm room, and I called you afterwards, and I was like, I can't believe that worked, because I was in my dorm room, and I saw him going, lane, and I was like, oh, my God, they're going to throw it to Foles, and he's going to get batted down.
Right.
He's wide open. I'm like, how did no one notice that? I blew my mind.
Emotion, 22 seconds left in the half, if you've watched, like you said, the mic'd up version or the extended version of the highlights film, there's a few players on the sidelines for the Patriots. They're not going for it. There's no way they're going for that.
Yeah.
And then when they did go for it, they just went nuts. They just couldn't believe that we were going for it. Neither did, our announcers at the time. Merle he didn't think.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
And I don't like this. I can't
take the 3.
I can't do his voice very well. I can't do his voice.
Jaworski.
They're lining up for it, and I don't like this. All right. Some more fun right here. I've got top 10 Super Bowl plays, non-Eagles related, okay? Top 10 Super Bowl plays. You tell me. I'm going 10 to 1 again.
Gotcha.
Number 10, Tracy Porter, pick 6. Saints versus Colts. Extended the game to a 14-point lead and essentially iced the game.
Game was
Peyton Manning, pick 6.
Beautiful.
Number 9, the Von Miller sack. Forced fumble on Cam Newton, and they
alligator arms
recovered it for a touchdown. Great play. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It was just like one of those plays that you're like, that doesn't happen in a Super Bowl. Sack fumble for a touchdown, that's impossible. You can't let that happen in a Super Bowl. It's crazy. Number 8, John Riggins, 43-yard touchdown.
Yeah, it's funny.
41.
I saw that play today, and it's funny because my buddy Ernie and I were watching that Super Bowl, and it was Miami versus Washington, the Redskins at the time, and he was cheering for the Redskins, and I was like, I can't believe, I don't cheer for teams in my division.
Don't do it.
And he's like, well, you want to cheer for teams in your division because that's your division. I don't know. I was kind of swayed as far as that went, but
No.
it's like cheering for Kansas City 5 years ago, and now look at what happened. But it was a great play. It was a 4th down, and Riggins just shoved off a tackle and took it.
I have never cheered for the Cowboys in an NFL game. I have never. Thankfully, we've never been in a situation where I needed the Cowboys to win for us to go to the postseason. Right. I have never, and I intend to never. I couldn't.
Okay.
There's no way. I don't.
That's funny because at the time I would never have done it, but I have since in the past cheered for a team in our division to win a Super Bowl.
I have. That was different. The Giants,
against the Patriots, yes. The undefeated season, I couldn't have that. So
speaking of that, number 7.
Sorry.
Number 7, I have the David Tyree helmet catch. Now, a lot of people would think that this is number 1, and I'd agree it's definitely one of the greatest, but I'm putting it in number 7.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be number 1 for me. I have my number 1 already up here.
Me too. Number 6, Santonio Holmes, Pittsburgh Steelers, the touchdown in the back of the end zone, the toe tap against the Cardinals.
Oh, that was a heartbreaker, man.
Yeah, it was great for us, though, because we were cheering against the Cardinals.
That was tough. I was kind of at the Cardinals at the time.
It was tough because
I'm a Pittsburgh guy, you know that.
I know, but it was tough because we didn't want the Cardinals to win a Super Bowl before
I know.
It would have been freaking terrible.
But at the time, I was going to Cardinals games more than I was not going, so... and they just needed one stop, and they just could not stop. Roethlisberger was so good back then. But Did he get that other foot down? Was the other foot on top of the other foot?
I don't know.
There's still a contention on that.
I know. Mike Jones, tackle at the goal line, the Rams-Titans Super Bowl. Incredible play, incredible tackle. It's hard to make a tackle one-on-one, and he did it, and he got it down.
I didn't learn my lesson there because I was cheering for Dick Vermeil at the time, who was an ex-Eagles coach and had retired for many years.
Yes.
Came back. It didn't come back to bite us, but they did end up beating us a few times in playoffs.
Yes.
But it wasn't with him as the coach because he retired soon after that. But what a fantastic play. It's kind of a shame because at the time, the quarterback for Tennessee, I kind of liked him, and he had played a major game and drove them all the way down the field, and they didn't get it.
Yeah. So I think I was trying to move some numbers around because I have David Tyree listed again at number 4.
Oh, wow.
So I think I might have been changing something, but I don't know what I was placing at number 7. So I'm not too sure what I have there. Unfortunately, got to skip that. You got one to throw in?
Well, I have to see your other.
At number 4. Yeah, you're right. Let me do my 3, 2, and 1. So number 3, similar, in that same game, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cardinals, I have the James Harrison pick 6.
Oh, that was the worst thing ever.
It is.
There.
I know. Before the half, to end the half, you're on the 5-yard line and throw a pick 6.
14-point swing.
Insane.
Right there. That was the Super Bowl right there. And the way he returned it, and man, made so many great moves and blocks, and Larry Fitzgerald did everything in his power to tackle him. Did tackle him, but at the goal line, it was tough.
Yes, yeah.
It was tough.
Such a bummer. But I also am kind of happy about it. So, I'll throw a number 4. But to me, this isn't one of the greatest plays. It's really one of the worst. I think it's the worst play.
All plays.
It's the Malcolm Butler interception. And now I've said it to this day. I cannot watch that play.
Yes.
I haven't watched it since. I remember watching it at Aunt Debbie's house, Aunt Debbie and Uncle Ed's house in Phoenix. It came on today when I was watching.
Flip the channel.
No, I muted it, and I knew I was on wait. I'll wait till it's over. I can't watch it. It's very much like the 76ers, the Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Haven't watched it since it happened. Can't watch it. I can't watch it. Not even a 3-pointer.
I hear you.
Yeah. So if I didn't do that one because I think it's one of the worst plays, I'll throw the John Elway helicopter.
That was pretty cool.
It's a pretty good play.
That was a good Super Bowl too because John was coming back, and the Packers, who had won the year before, they ended up beating him, and he wanted to win that Super Bowl, man, and he did.
Yeah. Number 2, this was surprising. I didn't when I was looking at lists, kind of researching. I was surprised to see this wasn't ranked as high as other ones. I have the Julian Edelman catch against the Falcons. Hate that play. I hate the Patriots
game,
but that play, that catch. I mean, watching it, it was a jaw drop moment,
and a miracle catch.
And I couldn't believe that a person could make that catch. Like in that high leverage moment, in that I
and how he was stretched out, and
when it got tipped, and then he falls down and runs, and
like 3 guys around him.
Yes, he caught it on a guy's leg.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It was.
And then I have number 1, and I'm wondering if it's yours.
Oh, it's definitely mine. You know it is. The Manningham
It's
catch.
the Eli Manning pass to Mario Manningham.
It's got to be one of the greatest passes ever, and now in Super Bowl history for sure.
I think
that ball was perfect.
I think it's the greatest pass ever. I've said it on here. I think, and I don't like Eli Manning. I don't like the Giants. We were cheering for them against the Patriots both of those times, but that pass, I think Eli Manning to Mario Manningham, if you just look that up, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I think it's the greatest pass and catch in NFL history.
I think, Eli, obviously we didn't talk about Eric Allen getting the thing,
shoot,
but I think, there was some talk about Eli Manning being in the Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame or not.
Yeah.
And I personally think he should be, but
it's one of those difficult things where you talk about what's important, moments or all time. I don't know, because in one hand you'd be like, okay, well, people who go into the Hall of Fame, they should be the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks or a top 5 quarterback at the time they were playing.
Over a 3 or 4 or 5 year period.
Yeah, so you would say, of course, in our time, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger,
Agreed.
Drew Brees, probably not Phillip Rivers, but there's a few around that time where you're like they were some of the best.
Yes.
And Eli Manning, there was never a time where he was a top 5 quarterback in the league, but those 2 Super Bowl runs are unbelievable.
They were.
And the passes he made, the David Tyree and the Mario Manning hit, they're some of the greatest moments ever.
Being an Eagles fan, we know more than anybody how good this guy was because when he first came out when a rookie and he started winning games, and he was more of a 1 good, 2 good years and then not so good, and then a good another. Yeah. So he wasn't the dominant but he did have 12, 14 year career. I mean,
drafted in 2004.
Okay.
And then played until 20?
Jeez, yeah, he played
19 maybe? Yeah. Maybe it was 19. Yeah. I think we beat him in his last game.
We did. Of course we did. You know that. And he came out, and it was a Monday Night Football game, and
19.
He was beating us 14-0, and we came back.
But it was not Monday night.
Was it?
It was Sunday afternoon.
It was Monday night.
No, it was the last game of the season to get into the playoffs. We had to win to go to the playoffs, remember?
I don't, but I do know he was beating us, and we were like, I can't believe we're losing to this guy because – and that's where they messed up, where they took him out of that streak he had and took him out for a game and then put him back in, remember?
Yeah, that was bad. Stupid. But, yeah, let's see, finished out the season. Yeah, it was – I don't remember what day it was, but it's okay.
I'm going to look it up later.
Yeah, that's fine. So let me run down my top 10 again.
Okay.
Tracy Porter, pick 6. Von Miller, sack, forced fumble for a touchdown. John Riggins, 43-yard touchdown on 4th and 1. The David Tyree helmet catch. Santonio Holmes touchdown in the back of the end zone. The Mike Jones tackle at the goal line. The John Elway helicopter run. The James Harrison pick 6. The Julian Edelman juggling catch versus the Falcons. And Eli Manning pass to Mario Manning.
And I do have a couple honorable mentions. One would be Larry Fitzgerald's
touchdown.
Big time play against Pittsburgh in that Super Bowl, which unbelievable. Agreed. And then what was the other one I was thinking of? Marcus Allen had a great run like in 82, 83, where he kind of was tackled behind the line. Was a running play, and he took a pitch and went left, and then he cut right, and I think they beat the Redskins in that Super Bowl, but he had a fantastic run. So, you'd have to see it. It's a long time ago. So,
yeah. All right, I know we've been off the game for a while, but let's go ahead and jump back into it and talk about the injury report. So final injury report came out today. Only player listed out is Britton Covey, one we kind of expected to happen. Been nursing that neck injury, and it's just kind of, you don't want to throw a wrinkle into something that's been working out, so you just kind of keep it going. Nick Gates is a questionable. Brandon Graham shows up as questionable, and CJ Uzama, tight end, listed as questionable. Let's talk about Brandon Graham for a second, Dad. This would be incredible.
It would be incredible, and I think he's got enough heart in him to do it. And
he'll play.
He'll be able to play 8 to 12 snaps. God, if he gets a sack, I'm going to do 10 push-ups. How's that?
It would be
unbelievable. Unbelievable. It would be.
I shouldn't be getting emotional.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But no, if somehow he did something like that, it would be.
Because this is definitely his last game. There's no way he's coming back.
No, yeah, he's not.
There's no way.
And I think he kind of did already do a statement on that.
Yeah.
No, it would be incomparable.
It would
you could not compare it to another moment in NFL history. It'd be incomparable.
Just him being on the sidelines is going to be huge. But if he can get out there and make a play,
that'd be insane.
It would be amazing.
Everyone else as full participant listed, we got Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, which is good to see with the illness. Landon Dickerson, Kenny Gainwell coming back from his concussion. Dallas Goedert, full participant. Cam Jurgens, full. And then Devontae Smith, limited the entire week, so not something you love to see. I think it's more so just like, hey, we're not messing around here, dude. You take it easy. But pretty good injury report to see going into a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. And the biggest thing was Dickerson and Cam, that they're both ready to go. They had enough time to rest and get their stimulation, a little heating pad on the back, and hopefully they come out just knocking people down.
Definitely. On the Chiefs side, only 4 guys on the injury report. Only 1 listed as doubtful. Sky Moore, really good player for them, caught a touchdown against us 2 Super Bowls ago on one of those dumb plays. Jawan Taylor listed full participant the whole week with a knee injury. Matt Ariza, their punter, with the illness, and then Patrick Mahomes was listed with an ankle injury. They're just doing that to make him look like he's hurt so they can make him go, oh, he was on the injury report and he's amazing now. Look at this guy. You know how it is.
I do know how it is. I watched the highlight today where
thank God we
was running up the middle and all the announcer was saying was ankle at the 25, ankle at the 30, ankle at the – I'm like, stop. It was disgusting.
And thank God we don't have Romo. Unfortunately, we have to deal with Tom Brady, but thank God we don't have Collinsworth or Romo because, oh, my God, it'd be –
Brady hasn't been bad this year.
Why? But about Mahomes, it would just make me sick if I had to hurt Collinsworth again.
Yes.
And Romo last time was terrible, but okay. Let's get into some comments. We'll take this time to remind you guys to like and subscribe and comment down below if you enjoy what you're watching. Let us know your predictions for the Super Bowl. What score you are thinking, man. Hopefully we're all predicting a nice blowout. That'd be the best one for us. But please like and subscribe and rate and subscribe wherever you're listening.
Top 10 Super Bowl play.
Yeah, you can throw in those.
Whatever you got.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the comments here. So we got Aunt Margie. Incredible season. I was also concerned about the early bye, but certainly worked out. I stayed positive during the very few bad times, ... But you two, oh boy. So she's got a good point there. She said, laughing face, go Birds. Go Birds, Aunt Margie. And she's right. During the bad times, you and I, man, we criticize because we care.
That's right, buddy.
I mean, I expect perfection, and that's my fault.
We criticize because we love.
Yeah, and that's my fault. I probably should, take it easy and, it's okay, it's a long season. But to me, it's not a long season. Every game is life. You and Aunt Margie and a lot of Eagles fans out there, you're used to bad teams.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, well,
so I don't tolerate it. I can't.
Enjoy the successes, too.
I know, I don't. I'm like, 32 points? That's it? You got to be kidding me. Okay. Against a division rival, Jesus.
I agree.
Mike Romans, a great summary, such a fun season, maybe the best Eagles team ever. I'd agree with him there.
I'm going to have to agree with him, Mike.
Yeah. And his prediction for the Super Bowl was Eagles 29-17. He seems to be a big fan of the weird scores like you do.
That's right. That's why I do it. Yeah, but 29. He was right. He was light in the laugh one. I mean, he didn't get it exact, but he
knew it. He knew it was coming.
He kind of knew it was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Mike. Best Eagles team ever. I mean, it's hard to, I wasn't alive during the 80s, so I don't know how to compare the defense because I wasn't there to watch, but it's definitely the best Eagles defense in my lifetime.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mean, without a doubt. I've never seen an Eagles defense end the season as the number one defense.
Exactly. So and where they're at right now, not in the first round of the playoffs.
Correct. That's the thing about the 80s guys. Yeah.
That's what they'll tell you. That's what obviously the team that won it all is different. You have to kind of grade it on the curve there, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. And then my sister Mary said, great season recap. Go MVP breaks. They just got some baseball too. Obviously MVP breaks is the TikTok shop that my brother-in-law and his buddy Tyson run. It's called MVP breaks with an S on it, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And they sell jerseys and they do jersey giveaways and everything like that. So
yeah, you can buy a slot. You can do. There's all kinds of stuff. It's over my head, guys.
It's a lot of fun.
All I know is that you can get memorabilia that's signed.
Yes, a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff. So hopefully you guys go and check that out as well.
Tomorrow they'll be up on it in the morning.
Gotta be.
They're trying to get that out there before the Super Bowl.
Gotta, yeah. All right, Dad, let's get into some bold predictions. So I know we're running long on this pod. We knew we would. This is the Super Bowl. We have to.
That's right.
There's not enough to be said about the importance of this game.
Best game of the year.
Last game of the season. Win or lose, last game of the season.
On the field.
All right, let's get into some bold predictions. So I got a few. You got some? Now,
sure.
I know we don't do score predictions. Maybe I'll ask you one, but this is just bold predictions for the game. I'll start with my number one. For some reason, guys, last 2 weeks, I've had some daydreams, some visions. I'm sitting there and playing fetch with the dogs, or I'm feeding my daughter, or I'm doing something, and I keep having this vision that Cooper DeJean running a football into the end zone.
Okay.
I'm having a prediction that Cooper DeJean is going to get a touchdown. Now, whether that be a pick six whether that be a punt return for a touchdown, whether they line him up on the offense and put him in the backfield and give him the ball.
There you go.
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But that last one, maybe not. But I have a prediction and I have a vision that he's going to score a touchdown in this Super Bowl.
Nice.
Or a fumble return. I don't know.
Right.
Cooper DeJean is my prediction. He's going to score a touchdown this Super Bowl.
My prediction is Sidney Brown is going to make a play somewhere. I don't know where. If he's going to be filling in for somebody, it's probably going to be on the special teams. But I don't know. There's something about him. Hopefully, it's not a play where he grabs somebody's face mask. But I just have a feeling that he's going to do something because I've been watching some highlights the last couple of weeks of different games, and he just shows up. I see his number a lot. The other thing I want to do is shout out to my sister Kathy. She requested a shout out, so I said I'd do it. She had to take down her red lights around the house because her Valentine's lights, they look like Chief lights, so she had to put up her St. Patrick Day green lights early just so that the neighbors know she's not cheering for that other team.
Yeah, shout out to you, Aunt Kathy. And shout out to Aunt Margie for telling Aunt Kathy to comment if she wants a shout out.
That's right. You got to comment to get shouted out.
Yes. I hope you're doing well, Aunt Kathy. Thanks for all the things for Rosie, the hats. I still like to put the Yoda hat on her.
There you go.
I don't know if it'll fit much longer, but the Leia one should as well.
Another prediction that I just feel like we're going to have some tipped passes in this game, and I'm hoping one of them is intercepted. That's all, because I just all year we've been getting these tipped passes and nothing's happened, and I see other teams do it. So I'm just thinking that we're going to get something out of one of those.
So tipped pass, Cooper DeJean, pick 6.
There you go.
Sounds good to me. My next one, and I already kind of said this earlier, but Dallas Goedert, big game. I think he's going to have a big game. Now, for a big game for a tight end, I'm not saying he's going to get 120 yards. Although it is important to note, earlier this season, he played the Saints in the Superdome and had 176. No, really? 181?
I don't know.
I thought he had 176.
It was up there.
I'll double check
huge
that
game, and that's when a couple of our receivers were not in.
Yes. So, I'll double check that. But no, I think this will be a big game for him. Maybe not in yards, but at least in catches. I think he's going to get a touchdown. I don't know the last time we had a tight end get a touchdown Super Bowl would have been Ertz, because Goddard didn't have one last time, right?
I don't think so.
We
only had 21 points, so.
No, 2 years ago?
Well, no, that was 35. Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking of 21-17.
Oh, last year. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I don't know what Goddard had last year. So he had 170 against the Saints.
170. Okay.
But in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, I don't remember what Goddard had. I know he had a couple of huge plays, third down conversions and whatnot, but I don't think he had a touchdown. Fairly certain. So our last tight end touchdown in the Super Bowl was of course Zach Ertz. So yeah, I'd like to see a little touchdown from Goddard. He had 6 for 60 last time, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's around that same thing. I'm kind of going for I'm thinking like a 7 or 8 catch game for 75 to 80.
There you go.
And then I'll take a touchdown.
I'll take that any day.
Okay. You got another one?
I do not.
Oh, that's okay. I got a question for you. I got a question for you because I didn't write this one down as my prediction. I'm going to ask you. Saquon Barkley rushing yards. What do you got?
I'm going to say 136.
136.
I need him to have over 120. I need it.
Yeah, we have to.
I need it.
Touchdown, 2 touchdowns?
I'll give him 1 touchdown. I think we're going to do a couple tushes.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
1 or 2. Hopefully don't have to. He just gets in there, but yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, that would make it a little easier.
Yep. So that's all I got, man. You got anything else to say about the Super Bowl, man?
Not really. I went through all my notes. Hopefully Calcaterra has a play or two. That would be one of the things I'd like to see. I think he's kind of a secret weapon we have for a tight end that can catch and run and be open. So maybe on a fake tush push, they throw it to him deep. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Interesting. Yeah.
But no, I think that's it, Baz. I just hope we're ready.
Yep, I'm nervous just like you are, but I know the excitement is even bigger. I should have given a shout-out to JJ as well. Sorry, mentioned him. I talked to him. He's pretty confident. He thinks we're going to win by 3 scores.
Yeah, he's confident.
Yep, and so is Mike Roman, 29-17. That's
true.
3 scores too.
It's true.
I think, right? Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, one of the things I've heard is double-digit score lead going into the fourth quarter, we might be okay. That's one of the things.
I'd agree with you there.
But I don't predict. It's too jinxy for me. Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and say our goodbyes. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment down below your predictions for this game. Guys, we hope to see you there at Rhinos. We hope to talk to you during the game. Well, maybe not during the game, but before and after.
Not during the game.
Not during the game at all. Put your phones down. Look at the screen.
Yeah.
You can email us your questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, in our last episode before the Super Bowl, go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.